There is a kind of man who carries the world on his shoulders and never once asks for help. You have seen him. You may be him. He wakes before the sun. He works when others rest. He holds his jaw tight in rooms where lesser men would crumble. And yet somewhere behind the silence, behind the discipline and the strength, there is a question he has never allowed himself to ask out loud. What is all of this for? Not the work, not the sacrifice, not the grinding endurance that has become the very architecture of his identity. What is it truly for when the battle you have been preparing for, your entire life has not yet arrived, and you are beginning to wonder in the darkest hours if it ever will? That question is not weakness. That question is the first sign that something real is beginning to stir inside you, something that Nietzsche understood with terrifying precision more than a century ago, something that the world of comfort and distraction has done everything in its power to keep you from discovering. Here is what no one tells the strong man. The waiting is not wasted time. The silence before the great battle is not emptiness. It is preparation of a kind so deep and so specific that most men will never recognize it for what it is, because they are too busy looking for the fight on the outside when the most important war has already begun on the inside. Nietzsche saw this. He wrote about it not in the language of self-help or motivation, not in the hollow vocabulary of modern resilience culture, but with the cold precision of someone who had himself endured a suffering so profound that it broke his body before it could break his spirit. And what he found in that suffering, what he extracted from years of illness, rejection, solitude, and the collapse of every comfortable belief he had ever held, was something that should disturb you deeply if you are truly strong, because it means that what you are going through right now, the waiting, the tension, the sense that something enormous is coming but has not yet arrived, is not a failure of your path. It is the path itself. Friedrich Nietzsche introduced to the world the idea of the Übermensch, the overman, the being who does not simply endure life, but who creates meaning from it, who does not wait for God or society or history to hand him a purpose, but who forges one from the raw material of his own suffering, his own will, his own relentless confrontation with everything that would diminish him. But here is what most people miss about this concept, what the shallow interpretations always get wrong. The overman is not a man who has never been broken. The overman is the man who has been broken completely and chose to become something new on the other side of that breaking. The strength you have built, the discipline you have cultivated, the silence you have learned to endure, none of that is the destination. It is the preparation. And the battle that will truly change you, the one that will separate the man you have been from the man you are capable of becoming, has a form you have not yet imagined. Think about the way iron becomes steel. Raw iron is strong. It can hold weight. It can resist pressure. But it is still, in its untransformed state, brittle in ways it cannot predict. The process that makes it into something harder, something more capable, something that can hold an edge and bear a load that would shatter its former self, requires fire. It requires being heated to a temperature that would destroy lesser materials. It requires pressure applied at exactly the right moment in exactly the right way. And here is the part that cuts the deepest. The iron has no way of knowing, while it is in the fire, that the fire is not its destruction. It can only endure. It can only remain. And that endurance, that refusal to dissolve, even when dissolution feels inevitable, is the transformation itself. Nietzsche called this amor fati, the love of fate, and he did not mean it as a passive acceptance. He meant it as the most radical act of will a human being is capable of, the choice to not merely tolerate what life does to you, but to embrace it so completely that you would choose it again. Every piece of it, including the parts that nearly unmade you. Before we go further, I want to stop for a moment and ask you something directly, because I think you have been carrying something heavy for a long time, and maybe no one has ever asked you this, in a way that felt real. When was the last time someone looked at your strength and understood that behind it there is a man who is tired? Not weak, not broken, but tired in the specific way that only strong people get tired, when they have held everything together for so long that the holding itself has become the only thing they know how to do, and they have lost track of what they were holding it all together for. If that lands somewhere true inside you, I want you to go to the comments right now and write these words. I am still here. That is all. 3 words, because every man who writes that is sending a signal to every other man reading those comments who is fighting the same silent war. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone else who is struggling in silence is simply to let them know they are not the only one. Your 3 words could be the thing that keeps someone else standing today. Write them, and then come back, because what comes next is the part that will change how you see everything. Nietzsche understood solitude not as a comfort, but as a crucible. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, his most personal and most misunderstood work, Zarathustra descends from his mountain not because the mountain has failed him, but because his wisdom has ripened to the point where keeping it to himself would be its own form of decay. The strong man who isolates indefinitely is not preserving his strength. He is, in Nietzsche's framework, committing a subtle betrayal of everything his strength was built for. Strength without application is not virtue. It is potential rotting in the vessel that was meant to carry it forward. And yet Zarathustra's descent is not easy. It is not triumphant in the way we want our stories to be triumphant. He goes down into the marketplace and finds that no one is ready to hear what he has to say. He is mocked, he is misunderstood, he is treated as a curiosity and then dismissed. And this is the moment, not the years of mountain solitude, but this moment of genuine confrontation with the world's indifference. That is the real test of what he has become. The battle Nietzsche is warning you about is not a battle with an enemy. It is a battle with irrelevance, with the terrifying possibility that everything you have built inside yourself will meet a world that does not recognize its value and will not make room for it without a fight. Most strong men are prepared to fight against resistance. Very few are prepared for something harder, continuing to move forward when the resistance is not opposition, but indifference, when the world does not push back but simply does not respond, when your strength finds no purchase, no worthy opponent, no confirmation that what you have become matters to anyone beyond yourself. This is where Nietzsche's concept of the will to power becomes something far more nuanced than its reputation suggests. The will to power is not the desire to dominate others. It is the drive to overcome yourself continuously, without the reward of external validation, without the comfort of a crowd that sees and approves. It is the commitment to growth as its own justification, the refusal to define your value by what others reflect back to you. Here is the recontextualization that changes everything, the piece that even those who have read Nietzsche carefully often miss. The eternal recurrence, perhaps the darkest and most demanding of all his ideas, is not a metaphysical claim about how time works. It is a psychological test of the highest order. Imagine that you must live your life exactly as it has been, every choice, every loss, every humiliation, every moment of doubt, and every moment of fire, repeated infinitely, with no variation and no escape. Nietzsche offers this not as a horror, but as a measuring rod. The man who can say yes to that not grudgingly, not with gritted teeth, but with genuine affirmation, is the man who has truly understood what it means to live without resentment. And resentment, what Nietzsche called ressentiment, is the poison that corrupts strength from the inside. It is the thing that turns power into bitterness, discipline into rigidity, endurance into martyrdom. The strong man who has not yet faced his defining battle is always at risk of ressentiment, of allowing his unused capacity to curdle into contempt for those who seem to have found their battle and won it, or into a quiet, corrosive narrative that the world has failed him by not yet delivering what he deserves. The antidote is not patience in the passive sense. It is creative engagement with the present moment as it actually is, not as it was supposed to be. Nietzsche's overman does not wait for the world to arrange itself into the conditions he requires. He operates within the actual conditions, no matter how unfavorable, and finds within those conditions the material for his next transformation. This is not optimism. Nietzsche had no interest in optimism. It is something harder and more honest than optimism. It is the refusal to allow reality's imperfection to become an excuse for your own stagnation. Every day that the great battle has not yet arrived is a day in which a smaller, but no less real battle is available to you. The battle of what you chose to think when no one is watching. The battle of what you build in the hours when it would be easier to consume. The battle of who you are becoming in the silence before the world calls upon you to be it out loud. There is a phrase Nietzsche wrote that has followed strong men through history like a shadow they cannot outrun. What does not kill me makes me stronger. It has been flattened into a slogan printed on shirts, reduced to a reflex, but in its original context, in the twilight of the idols, written when Nietzsche's own body was failing him and the world had largely ignored everything he produced, it was not a boast. It was a declaration of philosophy as a way of life. He was not saying that surviving hardship automatically produces strength. He was saying that the man who chooses to extract meaning from hardship, who refuses to let pain pass through him without taking something from it, without being changed by it in a direction he has chosen rather than one that was chosen for him, that man grows stronger in a way that is entirely different from the brute accumulation of endurance. It is strength with direction, strength with understanding, strength that knows what it is for. The battle that changes you forever is not the one, you have been imagining. It is not the dramatic confrontation, the public test, the moment when the world finally sees what you are made of. The battle that changes you forever is the one happening right now, in the accumulation of small decisions you are making, in the absence of an audience, in the discipline you maintain when there is no reward for it, in the refusal to become bitter, small or resentful, in a world that often gives you every reason to be all three. Nietzsche's final gift to the strong man is this: the meaning of your life is not located in the battle that is coming. It is being forged in the waiting itself, if and only if you choose to treat the waiting as the forge and not the punishment. If this reached something in you today, something that has been quiet and unnamed for a long time, do one simple thing before you leave. Press the like button on this video, not as a reflex, but because this kind of content survives and travels only when the people it was made for push it forward. And there is a man somewhere who needs to hear exactly what you just heard, who will never find it unless you help carry it to him. And if you are ready to keep going deeper, to keep stripping away the noise and the comfort and the easy answers until you arrive at something true about who you are and who you are becoming, then subscribe to this channel. Every video here was made for the man who is still standing when he had every reason to stop. Every video here is a conversation with the part of you that already knows the truth and is waiting for someone to say it out loud. You are exactly where you need to be.